the other players who I really like their play, I'm talking, you know, all the Japanese players, Tyler as well, it still feels like there's things that they might be missing. Whereas Surrender, it's not just that I agree with his play, he's always finding lines that I didn't even consider that are just genius.
Yeah, Surrender is just super consistent, and his average is above average.
Yes.
He'll still have every so often these stand out, I never thought of that, that's the line. He played around lethal type of plays that make it into top 5 moments. They're maybe not as flashy because he never runs these super weird deck lists, but Surrender just never makes huge mistakes outside of one misclick, which, I mean, he was even aware that it was wrong, and it was more of a mechanical error than a thinking error, so hard to even fault him on that. But we will begin with the Tempo Mage versus Druid matchup, which we were talking a lot about earlier today, because it definitely feels a bit more even.
It really does, yeah. It's a hard mulligan here, though, for Surrender, because I know it was probably wrong, but boy, did I want to keep that Mana Giant there. Like, with Apprentice in hand against specifically Druid, if you throw that down on, like, turn 4 or turn 5, I don't know. I've kept it before, and it has sometimes felt absolutely wrong, because it is one of the lowest mulligan win rate cards. But sometimes I just think it feels so good.
If you had Evocation, sign me up. I would absolutely keep that. But I think that the card that is more reasonable to go with Apprentice against Druid is Shanvala. I think that is the difference maker.
Very true.
And I like that Surrender is looking a bit harder for that. And although he doesn't hit it, he's hit one of the best possible other combinations of cards. Lab Partner, Mana Cyclone with spells in hand. Could pop off pretty soon.
Yeah, he's got the juice. Tyler does not. He has got a very, very lacking hand here. Plenty of draws that improve it. Wild Growth, Overgrowth, Lightning Bloom, even another Innovate, just to get down a Twilight Runner that little bit earlier. But it's going to have to come soon, because Surrender is going to start popping off pretty soon here, you'd imagine.
Choosing to play one spell so he can get down the mana, the One Thief the next turn. Very likely because the One Thief replaces the cheap spell of Primordial Studies anyway. I will say that if I didn't, go blind for a second, I think Tyler picked Innervate as a keep in the mulligan as well, which I found very weird alongside Guardian Animals, which is an insta-keep, but I think you would much rather hit the hard ramp or at least Lightning Bloom to go along with the GA.
Yeah, the general advice I'm given is you keep soft ramp when you have Guardian Animals in hand, but I think the implication was more you keep Lightning Bloom when you have Guardian Animals in hand. It's not useless, like, it's not a card that you can only pair with Guardian Animals. It could just be Fate Runner next turn, which is not terrible, I don't think.
It's true.
Surrender taking the turn here to...
feels like a rather pessimistic keep, but yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sorry, I agree. It's not the dream card, but Surrender is taking the opportunity to pop off it, which we've talked about a few times. You know, you don't really want to go with the Ray of Frost pop off unless there's something on the other side of the board, but unless it is exactly Vate, Bloom, Guardian Animals next turn, you're not really likely to be facing down anything to point your Ray of Frost at, or a punish to developing onto the board here. So I do like going for it here. Get yourself 4 spells, follow up with Steward of Scrolls, follow up with the Spellkin as well. It feels pretty clean.
Okay, I found a way to criticize Surrender again. This positioning is pretty sus.
Yes,
I mean, even before he got the mirror images, it was 2 highest attack minions on either side.
Yes, you want big minions on the middle, right? Usually.
Well, actually, in the case of one Thresher,
it's slightly better, right?
Yeah.
Well, a couple of juicy pickups, though, for Surrender in terms of this hand, because we have the obvious follow-up of Steward of Scrolls, which we were looking at, but this potion that has been generated is looking pretty disgusting, actually. I've got to say, a full hand can be generated here. Oh.
He's turning it down to play around GA, but I was super tempted to go for the potion there, and you just, like, drop the 1/1 mirror image.
I don't even care that this is almost certainly correct, because it really messes with Tyler's head and makes the Guardian Animals so much weaker. I wanted to see it anyway. Don't even care.
Giant.
Oh, okay, this is This is coming together very, very nicely.
It's too good.
So
I mean,
the pressing issue here is obviously the Twilight Runner on the other side of the board, which you want to potentially go for the out of the Devolving Missiles, which could come off of generating another Wand Thief, or just straight up off of Spellkin here.
I am so surprised. I would have insta-potioned there. I mean, you had a shot of outside of even just generating the Devolving Missiles, you had guaranteed Mana Giant.
Those are not the cards that you want to see as well. He kind of has to target one of his own guys now, because you need Mana Giant on this turn, right?
Right. Probably just sack the 1-2 after it attack. I think 1-1 spell damage is more useful than 1-2.
Yeah. Whoa.
I am still so surprised that he didn't go for potion. But this is surrender we're talking about, so I will, wait to be impressed.
The big kicker here, though, is that his play a couple of turns ago to get down the counterspell is rewarded. Tyler had the obvious line of getting down Guardian Animals. Denied, 100% you cannot play it. And if he plays another spell here with the Nature Studies, he's just going to be met with another 4-drop on board as well.
Mm-hmm. I am not even sure if you're supposed to start with Nature Studies there. I was interested in drawing with the Twilight Runner to potentially hit Stunning Bloom to still get down the GA.
I forget things.
Still possible.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh! Go, go, go! Play the Worthy Expedition. Pick anything. Doesn't matter. Crystal Power.
Yeah.
Great.
He has 1 Teacher's Pet, 1 Lake Thresher left. And it's not enough to kill both the Apprentice and the Mana Giant.
So he's leaving up the Giant to kill the Apprentice.
Yep.
It's risky business. Absolutely. But there's no Kunj ready to go here. No Kunj is calling in the deck even for surrender.
That's right. He is running a more streamlined version with the Cobalt Spellkins. Mirror Image?
Yeah, I think so. There's already 1 Learned Draconic in play, right?
And you can freeze both. Man, I just wish there were a way to fit in the potion this turn.
I don't even want to
he's running out of value really quickly, but I don't think you can afford to.
I want to fit in Steward more on this turn necessarily than I want potion. Like, I know you really want to get the double freeze in here because like the Thresher's just destroying you. You can't give more card draw.
Trade always happening, so better see if there's a taunt first. Now he has an option to trade the Giant and freeze 1, so he can get on the Steward as well.
I think I like that a little bit more. Like this activates the 6/6, I suppose, with this line, right? If he gets down second, Brain Freeze. So okay, this is enough development to the point where I'm happy with this line.
I like it as well.
Threatening lethal next turn as well.
Yeah.
Very, very cleanly.
Sending everything face, even though there were 2 clean minion trades there. Surrender recognizes there's no way for Tyler to interact with the freeze to make it threatening.
Yeah, it's just the correct turn, I think, from Surrender. Getting the 6/6 down way too much, freezing the board, and there it is. Game 1 going over to Surrender again on the Mage. A weird way to play it out. You know, we've been talking about the different ways that you can play Mage quite a lot recently, and Surrender absolutely plays it in his own unique play style. But it's, again, another instance of me being looking at Surrender's lines, kind of wondering if it was the correct way to go, and then it all just looks so beautiful in retrospect. It just feels like he always had the best of it with those plays.
I still have questions. The potion, I mean, the turn that he could have gotten Cyclone Apprentice, 1 Thief, and 1 more thing off of the potion just seemed super clean to me. But maybe, in retrospect, maybe it was some issue with board space or hand space that Surrender was concerned about. And you do make a good point. In the end, it looked very clean. If Surrender found a line where I don't even need to generate anything else, as long as my 8/8 can attack twice, then I win, which was very much the deal. And when the positioning was important, he did put the minions where it mattered. The giant away from the apprentice made it so that Tyler had to choose which threat to leave up, and Surrender cornered him from there.
He did. Gets a very clean win, as I was describing, as we're going to go to a short break before we finish the last series of the day. Tyler versus Surrender will come back after this. This is game 2 of our last series of the day here in APAC, the one that I've been secretly most looking forward to all day today. I know it's kind of a normie opinion at this point to have Surrender as your favorite player in APAC, what with how well he's been doing, how consistent he's been, but I still just love watching him play. I can't deny it. I absolutely love it. And he's doing good so far with a very strong mage game up against the Druid. Both warriors have been banned out of the way. But even then, I think with it still being a strong deck against Tyler's lineup in the mage, you're always happy to just get it out of the way because it has been a bit of a shaky deck so far in the past couple weeks.
I think it's fair to say Surrender being the only player who is lossless, at least in terms of match score, definitely looking to secure himself an auto top 2 if he takes this series, I believe. And that would give him a better seeding going into the playoffs week. It's not just finish top 6 and everybody gets the same prize. Surrender with the Demon Hunter and Tyler still still having Mage left up makes me feel like Surrender is in an even better spot.
Yeah, I think he's just in an absolutely fantastic position. The Mage for Tyler could be a little bit difficult to get through, given that there is still the Demon Hunter here for Surrender. Taking a look at the list against Priests, or Tyler's Priests specifically, Tyler has the one Kobold Sticky Finger, which can help in the matchup, but is not quite so crucial as against Bomb Warrior. The really weird thing for me is that Surrender is still running Magtheridon. I guess kind of playing into what you were saying earlier, that he's not banning Druid, so he wants to have like a win con against Druid with Magtheridon.
Could very well be. I think I may have underestimated Magtheridon in other matchups as well.
Okay.
Having it in your deck as a threat can be a very, very big deal, even if you don't necessarily play it down on curve or end up playing it at all. Sometimes it just disincentivizes people from going super wide on board.
Before we get into any of the late game stuff, though, Tyler, for me, has kind of just got the hand that can get there. With the tour version of Priest, I really like playing aggressively for tempo right at the start. Not necessarily to the extent of coin 2-drop into 2-drop, but, you know, Sethic, Wandmaker, as soon as he finds a dragon, he can play the Cleric of Scales to find Raise Dead and get those minions back on the board. This is a hand that has a lot of board control, which is kind of the key to the matchup.
Right. As soon as Priest started going for the 2-of version, I think they quickly realized that Raise Dead is the card that allows you to actually take the early board despite you playing understated minions for their mana cost, such as Wandmaker. It's the fact that you're able to refill it for almost no cost at all. For Surrender, though, the curve is looking pretty clean. Using his own Kolak and getting rid of that Wandmaker. Marrow Slicer, Glaive Bound for the follow-up into Skull. Good.
Looking real good. Does mean that Tyler has to fight back as robustly as possible here. Arguably to the extent of Coin Wave of Apathy to make sure that these can't be clean trades. But again, I think with this hand, you're probably gearing up for Coin Wave Cabal or Coin Soul Mirror in order to fight back a little bit better.
I would agree, but all of these answers are not shaped well against the type of threat that Surrender's put on board. Tyler still doesn't have a dragon. You can see how distraught he is by this hand.
I think that the
Surrender has free reign.
Yeah, the
Surrender's like, wait, what? Really?
The deflated
it's
balloons.
For me?
Yeah, in the background. I think of the perfect analogy here for Tyler. It is just not happening so far. Surrender goes face, he plays the curve, skull next turn, or I mean even just lethal next turn. Maybe he doesn't need the skull.
Oh my god. Hello? This was not a game of Hearthstone.
Not over yet, right? He's got Shadow of Death or just Wave. Although Wave puts everything to 2, right? Apart from the Kolek.
I wonder.
I think it's Death, Hero Power, and then try to... Coin Soul Mirror isn't even that good. It's probably like Coin Cabal Wave next turn. Oh gosh. This is one of the poorest draws I've seen from a Priest in a long time.
Yeah, it's an absolute slaughter. He just needed a single dragon, and this hand entirely comes together. Then you're hitting Raise Dead, as we were saying, Renew. You can play out your Sethic again, keep generating all these spells.
So if you're Surrender, and you go Kane, Twin Slice, Hero Power this turn, that's another 7, plus the 4. You put Tyler down to 3, and even if there's Coin Soul Mirror, you have lethal with the others Twin Slice. But there are, I suppose, Pyro Punishes if you go for this line, as opposed to, well, Pyro Apotheosis.
Has to be exactly Pyro Apotheosis. You don't really have a read on there being, or I mean, if they had Pyro Apotheosis, they wouldn't necessarily have played it, is what I mean to say. But at the same time, I kind of feel like they would. I like this deviation from Surrender. The expected play is Coin Soul Mirror, and this just beats it.
Yep, I like it too. I think that if they had Pyro at any point earlier, they certainly would have played it with Coin and any of their cheap one-cost spells that make up the bulk of the deck. But he didn't see it, and Tyler's just dead.
I mean, this is literally never the line from Tyler as well, because he knows that he is dead on board here.
There wasn't another line, was there?
I mean, it was like Sethic, Apotheosis, and then if you hit...
Renew Radiance? Something like that?
Yeah, like, if you get Radiance and then you, like, chain Lazul's schemes forever so that nothing has any attack. Like, I know it's ridiculous, but it's where we're at when you're facing down literally 100% lethal. Obviously, I'm not going to fault Tyler too much there because it's verging in the territory of memes how lucky you would need to get off the Sethic to have any chance there. It was really just the fact that he didn't hit any of the mid-game draws whatsoever in order to be able to lock down the game.
Just felt like the easiest game of Surrender's life.
Pretty much.
Tyler, I mean, I don't think I can fault him on the mulligan. I would have kept one maker. He just never hit a dragon, didn't hit the Pyro that early. I would say that having Coin is generally a huge boon to Priest as well because it pairs with Pyro and you have one other card in the mulligan to work with, but it was just not there, and Surrender's curve was perfect.
Yeah, complete disaster.
A typical Demon Hunter game, I guess.
The only point that we're really approaching there, I guess, was whether it should have been Coin 2 into 2 to proactively start locking down the board. Like I said at the time, I think Tyler did take the right line, but you got to bear in mind that, you know, with Priest, the hero power only really does anything when you have minions on board. Healing yourself is not what you want to do in the matchup. You want to be locking down board control. Probably wouldn't have worked out anyway because the board still would have been able to be cleared, but always something to consider as the alternate line that you can play for. Demon Hunter out of the way now, though, for Surrender. Only the Druid that needs to get through against Mage, Priest, and Druid Mirror. I think he's just in a premium spot here.
Obviously, he has so many chances, and this is not Malagos Druid like Surrender had the other week, so I feel like it has less chances of whiffing so hard that it would lose 3 games in a row. I feel like Malagos Druid takes the already somewhat heavily draw-dependent win rate of Druid into even further extremes.
Says a lot about our two players right there, just on their choice of beverage alone. Surrender with the understated, very delicate teacup, and Tyler with the coffee made in his $10,000 coffee machine. That's all you need to know about the two players right there, I think.
I was going to ask you what does that say about them, but
I'll leave that to you,
we'll leave that up for interpretation. Yep. That was bigger than a tiny sip. I'll say that.
That was a chug, straight up.
Is this another One Thief keep that we're seeing?
It was, wasn't it?
Just not a fan of that.
Specifically with this hand, right? Because you're then not playing Spellwing on 1, I guess?
Yep. Just so you can activate One Thief on 2.
Like, if you hit...
very pessimistic.
Yeah. I do agree. I think you'd rather hit spell damage minions, you'd rather hit Apprentice, you'd honestly rather hit, like, Evocation in the mulligan, just for the chance of comboing it with Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Well, in any case, Tyler does put together a board. Surrender does this kind of turn your head a bit and blink thing that I can't even tell if that's just his default reaction or if he was confused to see that One Thief was kept in the mulligan. Remains to be seen, but obviously his curve plays out very cleanly. Cash in your soft ramp to activate the hard ramp. Next turn, he has either 5-drop of his choice active, and I'd have to imagine it's Twilight Runner, but Tyler with the Mirror Entity actually has a decent end.
Yeah, despite obviously his face here, I think, saying, I believe I'm about to go 0-3 against Surrender, he has the card here. This is what Surrender has to be afraid of, because Twilight Runner, devastating, giving them 2-card draw. Lake Thresher, I guess a little bit less so, because there's nothing to cleave into.
That's if you believe it's Mirror Entity to begin with. I think my first instinct would really still just be to play Twilight Runner here.
Really?
But Surrender is going to play around it.
And he gets rewarded. Like, he has information here, right? This is a card that was picked off of the One Thief, And it's a card that 3 mana was spent on in one of the prime early turns, when a card was already kept in the mulligan.
That's fair, now that you put it that way. And I guess I wasn't considering just how good the Iron Bark for full cost is with Ghidra this turn.
Surrender's just straight vibing here as well. He is absolutely loving life right now.
Yep. I would love life if I'm 2-0 up in a series that could put me 5-0 in round robin overall score.
Wouldn't we all?
The worst he can go from here is 5-2, which is better than the majority of the field. But Tyler's not out just yet. One apprentice could change the entire landscape of...
You don't pick the ones, silly.
I mean, what I'm most interested right now... Okay, that's kind of an interesting top deck there for Tyler. I will save my snarky comments until after about Tyler losing this series, because that is absolutely the card that you wanted to hit. There 3 spells drawn. Maybe if he can hit an AI, he can keep drawing through his deck. Like, this is not quite over yet.
I will agree. Surrender has some draw to work with for himself. Start off with this Twilight Runner. Almost certainly happening. I like trading it into the weaker minion. Sometimes that little extra HP can make the break points just a little bit more awkward for the mage.
Interesting.
This is where Zotl would say, what about play Kale Thoughts?
Okay. I mean, I was looking... I kind of settled on Twilight Runner hero power here at the end. I still just think I'd rather have a Twilight Runner down. Like, I want a card draw with this hand, right? I wouldn't even hate to go with the Broomstick as well, to be honest.
Yeah, that's also interesting. I think if you're playing Twilight Runner, I like the idea of just going for the draw immediately to give yourself the best shot of getting Lightning Bloom the next turn for survival. I'm just gonna take it a little bit slower, which, to be fair, if you're scared of multiple freezes, you definitely want to have a Bloom in hand to answer the accompanying.
3 spells tutored out of the deck. Obviously, none of these are Apprentice, but it starts to get the rest out of the way to make room in the deck and find that Apprentice. That's a freeze.
Ideally, I would want to fit in the Primordial Studies.
I think there's room.
And Cram Session. Okay, but then you're not freezing both the Ghidra and the Twilight Runner.
Yeah, sorry, I don't think there's room for Cram Session. I think there's room for the Lab Part, or just play the Primordial and see what you get.
It says explode.
Oh, he's going for the Session though. Or never mind. I mean, it could still just be do this for more power on board, but then you leave your lab partner vulnerable to the other Twilight Runner, which means Cram Session is gonna be not as good.
Oh, he's taking the chance to get the clear here. It's very likely. Oh no!
Hello.
All right.
I thought that was gonna be Ray of Frost, but missing that is royally unlucky.
This is where we conduct my experiment, Gia. I want to load up Hearthstone now and see how long it takes before I see Tyler has started a new Brawler CM run in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen. I anticipate 3 seconds or less.
You've already lost. And honestly, it feels like so has Tyler.
Yep.
But there's still a chance to draw Apprentice.
And
also, Surrender's hand is a little bit awkward.
Yeah, he can't go Kael'thas on this turn, which is the really awkward thing. Obviously, there's just like Thresher, Broom, clear the board. Next turn, you just win the game pretty much. But again, not 100% over.
In time, you too will bleed.
Yeah, he's just going in with the Omu in Silplay. Kael'thas for tempo, alright.
Tempo Kael'thas, sure.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
the line I was thinking about last turn. Still pretty good here.
Yeah. It needs to be an Apprentice. That's the draw to have any chance at all for Tyler. You draw to Apprentice,
any way Raz gets enough done here. There's Primordial, Raz, Ray of Frost.
What to
Oh.
I don't think it works. Mana's just not there. Okay, I'm on board for the Apprentice game plan. If we're trying to draw towards it, maybe it's Primordial first, so you get an additional draw for Cram Session.
What to do? What to do?
Well, whatever he's doing, he's got to go now. I want to go Primordial.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's
kind
Primordial.
I want to take the cheapest thing. If I miss on anything good, I am going to go Cram Session for the one draw for Apprentice.
It's over already. He just doesn't have time already, I think. You know, lab partner Cram Session, he literally does not have the APM to win this game, I don't think.
Well, there's no more mana to play or missiles either. Kael'thas's gonna stick, survival, able to come down on the board.
Technically one mana.
Lethal?
Yeah, it's not quite lethal. Okay, maybe this was just a line from Tyler to stay alive. It's fair enough.
Yep. Wild Growth, Overgrowth, or a total of 1 card draw just to activate the survival, I think is fine.
I think so too. Following up with the Broom doesn't even sound that bad either, just to get it on board again.
Yeah, it's a 5/5.
Yeah.
One more chance for Apprentice for Tyler?
Mm-hmm. Technically 2, I suppose. You can still make it work with Cram Session. Fit it in there as well.
You're trading? Really not.
I mean, the Broom for sure.
Okay. That's the one way he loses. Guess I can understand that.
Okay. 2 draws now. 2 draws.
Yep.
You gotta go, Tyler.
I think it's possible he's thinking about a Jandice devolving line instead.
Really?
I just thought out loud. I didn't like the sound of it.
There's not even Doomsayer.
Or it could just be straight up evocation. I'm still okay with that.
Hit Earth Ellie? Is that the out?
I think Evo is better shot than
okay.
Jandice. Yeah, there's another devolving. Okay.
Ray of Frost?
Devolving first?
Yeah.
And then possibly Arcane Explosion. Ray for 1/2 of it. Yeah.
Arcane Explosion,
here.
missiles.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
I want to play 1 Ray of Frost just so you maintain the twin spell in hand. Yeah. This is good.
Oh, surely not. Surely not. Don't even give me a glimmer of hope here, Gia.
Well, I didn't like that he traded in the lab partner there. I thought it was going to be Arcane Missiles to try and clear up the Shiffin. So maybe he sticks a Cram Session target. But he cleared the board. That's impressive.
It's very impressive. It's not the line I would have taken.
Draw card.
Yeah. I like the sound of that.
Why did this become so tense? It still doesn't feel like Tyler can win, but we're just so used to being degens on Tempo Mage that we believe there's a chance.
Okay, no dragon. There's something.
Okay.
Wrath to draw a card.
Cycle. Yeah. Not get baited by Forest Shade. You just get more stats by playing your 5 times, I think.
Yeah.
5 mana cards, I mean. Oh, wait, that's such a big board!
Oh my god.
We can freeze the Ysera!
Okay, like, Surrender did keep the Broom, which we were advocating for playing out earlier, which is like absolutely huge. That does lock out like the win con for Tyler, but...
Oh my gosh, does he just hold the Giant now?
No, you just do it. If they have Broom plus the big minion, you're just kind of conceding anyway.
Okay. But this for sure this is the end.
Oh,
After he sees
Mischief
the
in
Thresher.
Prime!
Can be played next turn.
We played right now. Get it down. A rush? Hello? Disgusting.
I want to clear the full board. I want to
Acceptable.
Jandis. I want to... Okay, you can start your timer before Brawliseum notification again.
Was this technically a misplay from Surrender? Because he could have gotten 6 dragons and been unable to play Broomstick? Like, if we want to get hypercritical at this point, do you really care if you give your dragons rush?
Yeah,
Whatever.
Okay, hypercritical.
I'm trying to find what I can, alright? He's too good. He just 3-0'd Tyler. One of the best players that we've had here for a long time in APEC. And honestly, I kind of think he can't really believe that one himself. He's just like, okay, the first game was just kind of handed to me. That one there, the mage didn't really do much of anything either, and I got the perfect hand. He didn't have to play especially good Hearthstone, but he just decided to anyway.
That happens here and there. If you're a player like Surrender, for every hard-won, hard-fought, excellently piloted game, there's probably going to be 1 or 2 that are handed to you on a silver platter, as well as 1 or 2 that you can't do anything about. It's just the spectrum of Hearthstone. And I gotta say, I am disappointed that's the way we ended the day, because we had such a fun series before